Since you don't care about 250,000 people continuing to die from COVID every year, I'm going to go out on a limb and guess you consider yourself to be able-bodied.
Well, this is next level victim mentality. Welcome back to the JP Reacts channel, my beautiful freedom-loving friend, where we like to call out the lies, hypocrisy, corruption of tyrants, shine the light of awareness on woke absurdities that are designed to weaken America, but we don't have to let it. And we highlight the amazing work of other freedom fighters. There is a growing trend in America to think of ourselves as weak beings. And the weaker we are, the stronger we are. That's where the victim mentality comes in. I'm oppressed, I'm helpless, I don't know what self-responsibility is. This is good. So there's a growing trend of actually some people who want to be disabled. It's called the transabled community. I'll show you that in just a couple minutes. But first, when we look at next level victim mentality, the most pessimistic views you can have, there is a trend of woke degenerates. I don't mean that judgmentally, just to identify what they are. Woke degenerates who are saying, yeah, you're not able-bodied, you're pre-disabled. From their point of view, everybody will become disabled. This is the kind of pessimistic thinking they have. I'll show you a quick clip from a reaction video I did a week or two ago that then got me searching because this lady, I'm like, man, she's saying everybody's going to be disabled. She says it's wrong to call yourself able-bodied because if you think you're able-bodied, you're actually pre-disabled. I'm like, it seems like a mentally unwell person. Then I did a little searching and realized, oh, she's not the only one. This is a trend. So let me show you a quick clip of this original one, and then we'll see some new stuff.
Being an able-bodied person in the COVID cautious community is absolutely wild. Because at this point in my life, most of my friends are disabled, and when I will talk to other able-bodied, or as a lot of people are more aptly referring to now, pre-disabled, because let's be serious.
More aptly referring to them, because let's be serious. Before we take a look at this next clip of insanity, would be the group of people, the brightly colored neon hair, which, by the way, she has clearly colored red hair, which feels like it appropriates me. But anyway, these are the type of people that would start screaming like, oh, you can't call them the Cleveland Indians. That's cultural appropriation or misappropriation or misinformation, whatever they call it. But then you look at people who actually aren't able-bodied. They've got some kind of a handicap. And I would dare say their mentality and what they're aiming for is dramatically appropriating the handicapped community, people who they have to face more challenges than I could even imagine. But they're just drawing on that, saying, hey, if we pretend we have some of what you got, I feel like more of a victim. And the more of a victim I feel, the more powerful I feel. Did you know being a victim, self-induced, makes you incredibly disempowered? Not really. It just feels empowering to me. Look how significant I am. The bigger of a victim I become. So let's take another look at someone claiming, yeah, we're all just pre-disabled.
If you get offended by being called cis, you're gonna love this.
Cis is basically a made-up term. Let's go on.
Since you don't care about 250,000 people continuing to die from COVID every year, I'm going to go out on a limb and guess you consider yourself to be able-bodied.
Or freedom-loving, or you hate tyranny. But anyway, he's connecting dots. He hallucinates. That's great.
You are what's known as pre-disabled. Nobody's able-bodied.
Nobody is able-bodied. I like that. That is optimistic. Nobody is able-bodied. Nobody. You're pre-disabled, which his perspective in life, and by the way, probably how he lives his life. A lot of how degenerate people live their life, they probably will become disabled through a self-induced mechanism, whether it's diabetes or just like, hey, I haven't had a job for about 30 years because I think, working is very oppressive. So I've got like vitamin C deficiency. So now I've got scurvy. I don't know what scurvy does, but
You're just not disabled yet.
You're just not disabled yet. Thank you for that optimism, buddy.
Let's hope some mass disabling event does not come along and accelerate that timeline. Oh,
I'm curious what a mass disabling event would be. Like, is that like a plane crashing to a neighborhood and then everybody's like wounded and arms cut off? I don't know, but this guy, have him as your neighbor is like, hey, how you doing? Well, I'm kind of having a tough day. All right, well, let me talk to you and make you feel worse.
when people tell you that all of the talk of the end of the pandemic is eugenics because as many as 250,000 people are going to continue to die every year.
He definitely believes the made-up CDC numbers, people dying with COVID versus people dying from it. He probably doesn't care about those nuances of science.
And you say, oh, it's the new flu or it's endemic. That's just eugenics. If you're willing to sacrifice the disabled, remember you are shortly to be disabled. Rethink your choices.
I don't know if he's coming from reality. I mean, he's talking about eugenics. Hello, Bill Gates, which I think is something worth knowing about. His perspective is different than mine. It's more of a like, oh, if you're not willing to live your life isolated and you're home for the rest of your life, bathing in hand sanitizer, which is antibacterial, not antiviral. Hello, climate conscious community. Then you're actively participating in eugenics. You're literally trying to kill people with COVID. Okay. If you weren't uplifted enough, take a look at this TikTok. You aren't able-bodied. You aren't. You are just pre-disabled. So remember that the next time you make decisions that put disabled people in danger, you're just hurting your future self. So if you can't care about us, at least save yourself. Man, that's weird. She's like starting off attacking you and then like saying at least save yourself. Look at that. She is just a lover of life. Thank you for watching my TikTok. Let me just bring you down, tell you how to live. Here's my death stare. You're not able-bodied. You are just pre-disabled. I think there's nothing funny about mocking disabilities. I think a lot of people have become super strong people. They have a disability. They've learned to live with it. It's a massive challenge. Now, I know folks like that, and they've become stronger people because of it. I admire that. But here these people are. I think kind of like mocking the whole disability thing, making light of it by saying like, yeah, everybody's going to be disabled. Well, no, they're not. And that actually takes something away from people who do have a disability. Speaking of which, the plot thickens like a Pfizer blood clot. There's a new group of identity politicians who are transabled people. Now, this is, if you thought gender ideology was a severe mental illness, well, this one makes that look like child's play. These transabled people, they're able-bodied people, yet they identify as someone with a handicap. And they don't just identify as someone with a handicap, they will then self-induce that handicap, inflicting great harm on themselves. Some people, they identify as blind. Problem is they can see, so they've poured bleach in their eyes. There's some people who have amputated their own limbs because they identify as an amputee. One person who actually got his spinal cord severed because he identified as paraplegic. And you can even see, this is a New York Post write-up about it. From transgendered to transabled, people are choosing to identify as handicapped. Which, by the way, like clearly someone who thinks this way, there's mental illness that needs to be treated. And if someone is willing to act on this, blind themselves, cut off a limb, paralyze themselves, I mean, that is severe mental illness. These people, they need help for sure. Yet, this is the slippery slope of transgender ideology. Well, like, you're not what you are. What you are is what you think you are. And the transabled people, it is probably the ultimate culmination of a sick society that has taught people, and if you've learned it, it's your fault, self-responsibility, but a sick society that has taught people the more of a victim you can make yourself, the stronger you are. Let's take a quick look at this. A troubling societal issue called transableism is attracting attention these days. Yeah, that's the thing. Attracting attention. That's the goal of the victim mentality. I want attention. It's a very immature, childish thing. It's like being stuck at the emotional maturity of 16 months old. Now, we all need attention, even as adults. But ideally, as you mature, you get mature. And you get your attention needs met in a functional way. It doesn't include self-harm or harming others. You get attention through being of service, doing good deeds, being a good person. Now get this. This is where we see crimes in the medical industry. Transableism is a newer term for BIID, or Body Integrity Identity Disorder, in which a person actually identifies as handicapped. Body Integrity Identity Disorder has been relabeled to transableism to align with today's trans community, according to some. Get this. The point of changing the identifier from a psychiatric condition to an advocacy term, gender dysphoria to gender identity, that kind of thing, mutilating your genitals to gender affirming care, big distinction, same thing, big distinctions when you label it something else. So the point of changing the identifier from a psychiatric condition to an advocacy term is to harness the stunning cultural power of gender ideology to the cause of allowing doctors to treat BIID patients by amputating healthy limbs, snipping spinal cords, and destroying eyesight. Doctors take a Hippocratic oath. First, do no harm. So if you went to your doctor and said, can you cut my arm off? Probably be like, what, is there like severe cancer in your arm? Like, what's going on? And you're like, no, I just identify as an amputee. So can we get this arm cut off? The doctor legally can't do it and ethically can't do it. His first Hippocratic oath, do no harm. When you get the body integrity identity disorder changed from, hey, you literally have a mental illness for wanting your arm cut off, doctors can't do that. But if you change that term to, I'm transabled, now, just like doctors who are willing to mutilate children's genitals because they don't call it genital mutilation, they call it gender affirming care, it gets to be called affirming care. Yes, I will affirm you. I will give you care by cutting your arm off. These advocacy terms, ladies and gentlemen, not cool. And here is a quick look at a lady who suffers from severe mental illness, yet she denies it and the people around her don't help her. She was a normal person. She could see, but she identified as someone who is blind.
I went blind on purpose, but I don't feel it was a choice. I don't think I'm crazy. I think I have a disorder.
First, it was definitely a choice, and you do have a disorder. Unfortunately, you need help.
I laid down on the sofa, dropped 2 drops into each eye. My eyes were screaming. I had some drain cleaner going down my cheek, burning my skin. In the moment, all I could think of was, I'm going blind. It's going to be okay. I was so happy. I felt that this was who I was supposed to be.
Obviously, nothing funny about that. That's a very sad situation. And I think it's worth knowing because this is the slippery slope that young people are on right now. The gender ideology, trans-abled ideology, it's all the same ideology. And instead of calling it like it is, oh, that's a mental disorder where you're wanting to do tremendous self-harm. We call it an advocacy term where no, you're not harming yourself by blinding yourself. You're affirming yourself. It's helping yourself. Not to mention, hey, doctors can help me now that we get these things labeled as affirming care. It's like a murderer saying, yeah, I'm not going to kill someone. I'm just going to affirm their lack of life. It is absolute lunacy. It needs to be called out because it won't stop on its own. Evil will keep going. Evil doesn't check itself. And the mind virus, the societal radical leftist agenda that implants things like this in people's mind, it is pure evil. It's not going to stop on its own. It takes freedom lovers having awareness. Then it takes freedom lovers having a voice. And it takes freedom lovers having courage rather than cowardice, where certainly, amongst other things, we stand up and protect our children from things like this. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I do have a lot of hope for America. I truly do. And we have to call these things out. We have to kill these mind viruses. Otherwise, they want to kill us. They just want to weaken people. They want to weaken people because weak people are more controllable. That's it for today's video. I'll look forward to seeing you on our next video. But before that, a special message for you. I'm someone who likes to take charge of my health, and there's only so much time in the day. So one of the number one ways I've found that gives me the most bang for my buck elevating my health is with infrared saunas. And the way I do it, with the Bon Charge infrared sauna blanket. Being someone who loves to have good health and good energy, I was always stressing out about like, how do I do detoxification? How do I elevate my metabolism? How do I de-stress? How do I make sure I get better sleep? But once I started using the Bon Charge infrared sauna blanket, I found it easy because I was accomplishing all those objectives at once. And I feel better because of it. I find I have more energy, I melt my stress away, and I find I sleep much better. And here's the best part, normal infrared sauna systems are super expensive and take up massive space in your home. I don't like to spend a ton of money and have a bunch of blocky crap cluttering up my home. But the infrared sauna blanket solved that problem for me too. It's the most cost-effective infrared sauna system on the market, and I love the fact that it's compact. When I want to use it, I just roll it out, then when I'm done, I wipe it down and put it away. Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. This holiday season, Bon Charge is offering a massive 25% off everything site-wide. Just head over to boncharge.com/jpreacts and the 25% code will automatically be applied at checkout to your entire order. The time has never been better or less expensive to take your health and wellness to the next level, thanks to Bon Charge.